First of all, can you hear me okay back there? If not, I can yell too. All right. First, I want to thank all the protest organizers, the Hmong American ad hoc team, the Hmong American kinship, and countless private citizens that came together to put this event together. I'm honored to stand with you today against racism. Racism is a form of cancer that eats away the fabric of our society. It is our civic duty to stop the spreading of racism. I stand with you today to draw a line. Racism is wrong. It has no place in society. So let's look back in time. I'll make a reference to an article, a research paper that was done by Ono and Berg. It is entitled Intermarriage of Japanese and Japanese Americans with Whites Surrounding World War II. And I quote, "Soon after the attack of Pearl Harbor, President Franklin D. Roosevelt issued an executive order 9066. The primary parties lobbying for the internment of Japanese were white farmers on the East Coast. The order gave the Army authority to intern 120,000. 120,000, or 97% of persons of Japanese descent. The history of the American Japanese internment camp is well known. However, not many people know what happened to Japanese American post-internment. I'm going to share with you some of those things. Many Japanese Americans found that their former homes were sold, rented to war workers who moved to the West Coast. Their homes and farms have been vandalized, and all their belongings have been stolen. Heightened hostility against individuals of the Japanese origin also characterized the post-war resettlement. Quote from a Japanese veteran, "When I came home from the service in 1945, people would spit on me and push me off the road. After the internment camp, more than 50% of Japanese Americans married outside their race. More than 50% of Japanese men and women married outside their race. Why? Because the concentration camp made them feel the shame of who they are. They were also afraid that it could happen to them again. I repeat, 50% of Japanese men and women married outside their race. History tells us a lot, doesn't it? Yeah. So let me remind you, BSA, those of you out there who don't know Hmong history, let me remind you why the Hmong Americans are in the United States. Hmong Americans are in the United States because they fought during the Vietnam War in the secret war with the CIA. Hmong soldiers, Laotian soldiers, rescued American jet pilots who were shot down. Hundreds and thousands of Hmong and Laotian men died in that war. After the war, it was not enough. After the war, the Communist Party persecuted the Hmong people. They killed thousands, innocent men, women, children. Thousands went to the re-education camp. The re-education camp is a hard labor camp. Only a few survived. It is in this context I want Bobbie Singh Allen to know. I want the public to know about the sacrifices of the Hmong veterans, Laotian men who died in the war.
Right.
The freedom that Hmong Americans enjoy today was paid in blood.
Right.
Recently, Bobbie Singh Allen made a reckless statement and mischaracterized Hmong men to invalidate them. That is a slap in the face to Hmong veterans, to their widows, to their family, and to all veterans in general.
Right.
My father fought in the Secret War. I speak today in his memory. I want him to know that the civil liberties and equality that he fought for, they are protected today, and they did not die in vain. When I first read the commentary for Bobbie Singh Allen, Jacqueline Moreno, and many other women who spoke recklessly about Hmong men, what came to my mind is that I am not Hmong. But how many can tell us apart?
Right. Not many. Not many.
How many can tell us apart?
Not many.
Not many at all.
How many people can tell 49 ethnic groups from Laos apart?
Nobody.
And that is the danger to the API community.
Right.
And that is the danger the API community faces. When they see me, they see an Asian man. They don't ask me if I'm Chinese. They don't ask me if I'm Vietnamese. They don't ask me if I'm Lao. They don't ask me if I'm Hmong. Their implicit bias leads them to conclude that my kind oppresses and silences women.
Right.
It is this unintended consequence of their words. And let me put this in a way that we can all understand. In my past life, I'm still alive, what I did before, I was an IT executive, a vice president. When I go to apply for a job today in senior management as a director or vice president, they may look at my resume, they may look at my qualifications, and I can interview well. However, the hiring manager, the HR person who drinks the Kool-Aid and subscribe to the belief that Hmong men or Hmong clan system, or Asian men for that matter, oppress and silence women, it is no longer about my qualification. It is no longer about how well I interviewed. To them, I am a ticking time bomb with untold liability that no company ever want to deal with. Bobbie Singh Allen's implicit bias has the potential to create a glass wall for all Asian men. If their intent is that, then they know exactly what they're doing. If that is not their intent, they need to apologize and end it now. We have seen an increase in attacks against Asians in the pandemic. Many of us have nothing to do with the virus or the spreading of the virus. In fact, many Asians have died from COVID-19. I have friends that have died from COVID-19. But yet, in America today, Asians are held accountable. This is no different than what happened to the Muslim community following 9/11. It's been 19 years and the Muslim community are still dealing with racism. This is what happened to the Japanese Americans post-internment camp. I see it repeating again in this election cycle. In this election cycle, here locally in Elk Grove, it is open hunting season on the Hmong community. Tomorrow, it could be the Chinese, the next day, the Vietnamese community, the Laotian community, you name it, it could happen to any community tomorrow. We must stand together and end racism. Let me close with this poem because history does teach us a little bit about what happens in the future. The title of the poem is called First Day Came by Martin Neumer. This poem was written following the rise of Nazi Germany. Subsequently to that, the purging of their chosen targets group by group. First, they came for the communists, and I did not speak. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak. Then they came for the trade unions, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade union. Then they came for the Jews. I did not speak out because I'm not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. End quote. Today, I fear the words from Bobbie Singh Allen will have generational impacts too. That is why I sent 37 emails, I sent an email to 37 public officials, elected officials, Elk Grove City Council, Elk Grove School Board, Sacramento School Board, and private citizens and API leadership. I received a response from a few, and you have heard from them tonight. I also received a response from Mayor Lee, who wants to share this with everyone. I want to thank you for the invitation. I do support transparency and equality and strongly oppose to the comments pervading Elk Grove politics. It would be best if the group activities are independent of my campaign so that my opponents do not twist and smear the good work this group is doing to highlight the shameful tactics of others. I invite, unquote, as APID's president, I invite all API community leaders in Elk Grove, Mayor Steve Lee, Darren Swin, Stephanie Nguyen, to stand up against racism. Thank you.